deep in the shadows of the global economy, there is a cartel that does not trade in digital codes, peace-of-mind paper money, or corporate stocks. They trade in the raw, toxic, and violent elements that physically power every single smartphone, electric vehicle, and advanced artificial intelligence guidance system on the face of the earth. While the tech elites of Silicon Valley brag about their clean software applications, their entire multi-trillion-dollar industry is completely dependent on a dark, cutthroat subterranean matrix. A world where blood, dirt, and raw geopolitics collide, and where a single, cold-blooded trading monopoly holds a chokehold over the rarest minerals on the planet. Imagine a silent, intensely focused South African accountant sitting in a private jet, looking down at the deep, open-pit cobalt and copper mines of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Below him is a landscape of extreme human suffering and unimaginable strategic wealth. Thousands of desperate laborers digging into the toxic red earth with their bare hands, surrounded by private military security forces and volatile local warlords. This man does not wear a hard hat, and he has never swung a pickaxe in his life. He is a master of mathematical arbitrage, a ruthless commodities trader who spent decades learning how to profit from chaos, civil wars, and international sanctions. While Western corporations feared to tread in these dangerous territories due to public relations risks, this man quietly deployed hundreds of millions of dollars into the dirt. He was executing a high-stakes, multi-decade chess game to systematically buy up the rarest mineral deposits on Earth, capturing a near-total monopoly over the elements required to fuel the entire high-tech future of the human race. A corporate maneuver so aggressive that it would eventually make his private Swiss trading firm more geopolitically powerful than most sovereign governments. That man was Ivan Glasenberg, the legendary and feared architect of Glencore. Today, the shadowy commodities machine managed by Glasenberg has become the absolute, non-negotiable gatekeeper of industrial civilization. From their high-security, low-profile headquarters in Switzerland, this network of master traders dictates the daily price and flow of the world's most critical physical resources. They do not just participate in global trade. They own the literal infrastructure of the global supply chain, the ships, the private ports, the smelters, and the deep underground mines that keep the modern world from grinding to an absolute halt. They did not achieve this unparalleled dominance by playing nice within the boundaries of traditional corporate ethics. They did it through cold-blooded geographic calculation, a total indifference to political chaos, and a brilliant, cutthroat mastery of raw material monopolies that outsmarted the largest mining conglomerates on the planet. Welcome to Land Titans, before we uncover the epic, intense, and shadowy strategy of how Ivan Glasenberg constructed a multi-billion-dollar empire on the rarest physical elements of tomorrow. Click the subscribe button and turn on your notifications. Because true, absolute power isn't found in digital clouds. It is carved out of the darkest, most dangerous corners of the raw earth. To fully understand the monumental rise of Ivan Glasenberg and the Glencore machine, we must first look at the secretive godfather who created this entire dark philosophy of trading, Mark Rich. In the 1970s and 80s, a legendary billionaire fugitive named Mark Rich revolutionized the commodities world. He realized that the real money wasn't made by simply mining materials, but by controlling the physical contracts and logistics of those materials during times of extreme international crisis. Rich built a private company that made billions by secretly trading oil with sanctioned regimes, bypassing international embargoes, and operating entirely in the geopolitical shadows. Ivan Glasenberg entered this intense, high-stakes corporate culture in the mid-1980s as a young, hyper-analytical coal trader. He didn't just learn how to sell minerals. He internalized the core doctrine of the firm, that chaos is the ultimate source of profit. When Mark Rich was eventually forced out of his own company, Glasenberg and a small circle of loyal executives executed a silent corporate coup, buying out the founder and rebranding the secretive firm as Glencore. Glasenberg understood that the traditional mining companies were weak because they were public, slow, and terrified of bad press. He kept Glencore entirely private for decades, cloaked in absolute secrecy. This allowed them to move at lightning speed, entering highly volatile countries like Colombia, Zambia, and the Congo, while their competitors were trapped in corporate boardrooms debating compliance. The crown jewel of Glasenberg's life strategy was the conquest of the Democratic Republic of Congo. As the world transitioned into the digital age, Glasenberg recognized that cobalt and copper would become the new oil. The Congo held over 60% of the world's total cobalt reserves, the essential ingredient for lithium-ion batteries. But the country was recovering from brutal civil wars, plagued by corruption, and considered an economic death trap by Wall Street. Where the world saw an impossible nightmare, Glasenberg saw the ultimate leverage point. Glencore aggressively moved into the region, partnering with controversial local middlemen and investing billions to buy up massive mining concessions like Mutanda and Katanga. They built giant industrial fortresses deep in the African wilderness, secure zones that operated entirely independent of the surrounding instability. Within a few years, Ivan Glasenberg controlled the single largest source of cobalt on the planet. If Apple, Tesla, or Samsung wanted to build their devices, they ultimately had to deal with the supply chains dictated by Glencore. But Glasenberg didn't stop at mining. He realized that to secure absolute dominance, he needed to control the entire vertical chain. Glencore didn't just own the mines. They owned the massive shipping fleets, the international processing facilities, and the global marketing desks that sold the minerals to the highest bidder. They created a system where they made a profit when prices went up, and made an even larger profit when prices crashed, because they controlled the physical storage facilities and could manipulate global scarcity. In 2011, Glasenberg made a historic pivot that shocked the financial world. He took Glencore public on the London Stock Exchange, revealing for the first time the staggering, multi-billion-dollar scale of their operations. The IPO instantly turned Glasenberg into one of the wealthiest and most powerful men on Earth, cementing his status as the undisputed king of global commodities. Today, Glencore remains an unshakable titan of global industry. Ivan Glasenberg has stepped down from the daily CEO role, but his cold, hyper-efficient blueprint remains deeply embedded in the DNA of the firm. He proved to the modern world that the ultimate monopoly is not virtual. It is deeply physical, rooted in the raw, essential elements that humanity cannot live without. His life story is the definitive manual of how absolute territorial ambition, matched with a total disregard for geopolitical risk, can capture a stranglehold over the entire high-tech future of civilization. He didn't just mine the earth, he owned the very bricks upon which the modern digital empire is built. But the global game of land, resources, and power is an endless circle, constantly transitioning from the physical extraction of minerals to the ultimate ownership of the literal space where humanity lives, works, and gathers. What happens when an empire is built not by mining the earth, but by quietly purchasing the most valuable, historic, and iconic commercial real estate squares across the greatest metropolitan capitals of the world? What happens when a low-profile European family decides to systematically buy up the luxury streets of Paris, London, and New York, capturing a total monopoly over the physical locations where the global ultra-elite spend their billions? In our next episode, we are traveling into the highly exclusive, multi-billion-dollar world of the luxury real estate barons, the silent landlords of the mega-rich who control the most expensive dirt on Earth. You will see how prime geographic location can turn a quiet family into the ultimate masters of modern prestige and wealth. Do not allow the algorithm to blind you from the physical reality of how power is structured. Click the video appearing on your screen right now to continue this intense journey into the architecture of absolute dominance. Subscribe to Land Titans. Leave your comment below on the ruthless mineral strategy of Ivan Glasenberg, and we will see you in the next empire.